Hi guys and girls, I'm Obsidian Ant, and once again welcome back to The Engineers, the latest patch for Elite Dangerous. This of course is right during the beta, and I'm heading out here to check out the new looting system. Now looting is the various materials that are required for crafting. It can come in a number of shapes and sizes, including material much like the synthesis material we've had up until now. You can also get data, and there's also items that can fit into your cargo hold. Now these are collectible from all manner of areas, from signal sources like the one I've just dropped in on here, and they're also dropped by NPC after combat. You can find them on planets, they can be mission rewards. In fact, there is a whole variety of different ways to obtain the multitude of different materials in the game now. And in this video, what I'm going to look at is the ones that are available in signal sources, as well as what happens during combat. Now I haven't had a look at combat much during beta yet, so this is the first opportunity for that as well. I've equipped FTL here, and I'm going to head out to an extraction site. The first one I'm targeting is an ice ring, because obviously, yep, that's something new. You know by now that ice rings are one of my favourite locations in the game. And now seeing an extraction site in one of these is going to be an opportunity I just don't want to miss out on. So there you can see we've got another update telling me that the new material type has been collected. So in many ways, whilst you're in deep space, unidentified signal sources all look the same as they have up until now. You can see here I found one as I was approaching Khura'in 2, but the moment you select it and point your ship towards it, it becomes identified, letting you know just what it contains as well as its threat level. Now I'm not sure what the upper number is for the range of threat level. I have seen it go as high as 3, it may well go far higher than that as far as I know, but that's something that we're going to find with time I think, unless someone already knows out there. Dropping into the signal source here, you can see that this one contains a lot more usable material than the previous one. It didn't strike me yet at this point to go and get some collector limpets, something I didn't think to do until a lot later, and besides there was only 6 here and they don't really take too long to collect. So if by now you've seen the engineers video I put out a little while ago, you'll have noticed that they contained some recipes showing what they can upgrade for you and telling you what components they actually need, and this is one of the ways of getting some of those components. Now it seems initially, I haven't done a lot of this just yet, but it does seem that where you get the materials determines what type of materials you get. So if you get them during combat, then they can be used towards weapons and other combat upgrades. That might just be coincidence at this point, but it certainly seems to be that way. At any rate, here I am in the first resource extraction site in an ice ring, and just look how thick the fog looks. Lovely place to fly through. This was also my first taste of combat to get involved with during beta, and it was quite a surprise actually, because things have changed quite a bit. Not only does the AI now have different tactics and a bit more advanced AI, but they're also using a whole range of different weapons and modules. And that became quite apparent before I even got in the midst of combat. Over here in the distance was my first fight, and before I even got too much closer, I could hear how dramatically different these fights actually sound now. Have a bit of a listen here and see what you think.
Frameshift charge detected.
So as you can see, the NPCs here are all using the new weapons, and it's probably quite likely that they're also using a variety of new modules too. NPCs also have some different tactics now. They will run away when their shields are depleted and try to come back at you afterwards. In fact, they can do this so fast that it can be quite difficult to actually catch them and keep up with them. Now you can see 2 white contacts on the radar there after the ship exploded. I actually missed them at the time, but moved on to the high intensity extraction site. That one was just a low. Over here in the rocky field is a high one, and I wanted to see what would happen in there and what type of materials these guys would actually drop. And it certainly does seem that the guys in the low extraction sites drop a lot less materials than the guys in the high extraction sites. Now for those of you that have been asking about performance on the game, during this video I was sure to keep on the FPS counter during the session. So keep in mind, we're right in the middle of these new high quality asteroids with the new fog layer. There's a lot of NPCs here and there's a lot of action going on. For the most part my FPS manages to stay at 60 frames a second, but it does drop down to 54 and even 50 frames a second on occasion. My computer spec is a GTX 780 with a long in the tooth i5 at 2500K. I'm running at a resolution of 2560 by 1080, that's on an ultra widescreen monitor, and I've got all the graphics set to their ultra settings. Now, I haven't set out with the intent of finding any challenging combat. All I did find here was a bunch of ASP scouts and a few couriers or two, but I wanted to see what sort of materials these would drop. As you can see already, there's quite a lot of white contacts on the radar. It seems each NPC drops in the order of 5 materials each. And this was really where it did make me realise that I should head out and get some collector limpets. Aside from it taking a very long time to pick up all this material by simply flying around, they do have an expiration on them. They don't last all that long in space. I haven't timed it yet, but I do know it's nowhere near long enough to be able to come and collect them all. You can see, though, on the contact screen just how many different types of materials there actually are here. I'm not sure how many have been introduced into the engineers, probably quite a lot of them. But even after all this, I still didn't have enough material to actually craft my FSD upgrade that I want to get. It's quite likely that the FSD upgrade materials are not going to be found in combat zones, and in fact it seems increasingly likely the more I play that different material types are going to be found in different locations, and we're going to have to determine precisely where those are, and it may take a bit of time to do that. But I'm pretty sure that even as we speak, there's some Enterprising Commander out there either putting together a website or maybe a spreadsheet detailing on the precise locations of all of these materials. Now, that does bring up a problem at the moment, and that is the limit of the amount of materials we can hold. We can hold 300 materials, and we can hold 100 data scans. I think that limit is going to be nowhere near enough. But Frontier have said they are of course aware of that, but at the moment they're looking at just how fast people are collecting all these materials. So it may be a case that they don't want us collecting the stuff too fast anyway. But that's not really a problem when you're out here with a single collector limpet. That's all I decided to fit, and he takes a lot of time to do it, bless him. He's working as hard as he can, but it's just not fast enough. In the end, the materials I've got floating in here in space disappeared before he could get round to them. But with the way things are balanced at the moment, I suspect if you come out here with a large ship and a whole bunch of collector limpets, you'll be able to fill up that capacity, the 100 capacity for data and 300 for materials, very fast indeed. But it would seem that it's quite likely we're going to burn through all of this very, very fast. If you take a look at obtaining the higher grade blueprints from an engineer, well, yeah, there looks like a lot of crafting is going to need to be done, and I'll be having a look at that a bit later on. For now though, that brings us to the end of this video. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys and girls next time.